Hey everybody, Motorpoet 59 here. We are at the Reagan Library today in Simi Valley. Come down here with my wife, one of our daughters, and a friend of ours to see the Auschwitz exhibit. But we're going to checking out the Reagan Library itself before we go in, and probably will after we get out. It takes a while to go through all this. But as you can see, greatest president of my lifetime. They're behind me. I know a lot of people now say that Donald Trump was the greatest president, but while I really enjoyed Donald Trump's, I thought he was refreshing with his honesty, but Ronald Reagan was the greatest president of my life. That's my opinion. You may not share it. But so let's take a walk through here and see what's up. We're in here waiting still about an hour until our time to go into the Auschwitz exhibit. You have to you had to get tickets in advance for this. For those of you who may still want to go, this is May 6th, and the exhibit is open until August 13th. As you can see here, we must develop geothermal energy, move forward on solar energy research, and every other promising means of meeting our energy needs. But listening to the left talk today, you would think that the Republicans hate anything to do with renewable energy, and that's just absolutely untrue. We just don't believe for a second that it's going to meet our energy needs. We are going to have other means of producing energy, and we're stuck with either fossil fuels, which will run out sometime, or nuclear. Nothing else is going to work. Feel free to pause this if you want, read some of the stuff that the first 70 days of Ronald Reagan's presidency is what this room is focused on, but just some of the things he had to say, the way he was able to communicate, and call him the great communicator and all, but it was true. And to see that, how far we have fallen from what Ronald Reagan truly believed in, and to see where we are right now, to see where our leadership is right now, to see how our country has really disintegrated and is beginning to just have very little hope and faith. You know, when you listen to Barack Obama's schmeal about the audacity of hope, just the title of that book made me realize how little that man understood the American dream, and how badly it turned out that he and his people wanted to destroy the American dream. It's really sad, and I hope the pendulum swings the other way. It may not happen in my lifetime, but I'm convinced that at some point it will. And this room is dedicated to the assassination attempt on March 30th, 1981. I remember all that like it happened yesterday. Ronald Reagan's letter to Leonid Brezhnev. But what I remember about this, really, is how everyone pulled together, and America just doesn't do that anymore. Even Democrats who really, they didn't vote for Reagan or agree with all of his policies, but they pulled for him, and it really united the country. And I think that's what I remember the most about it, other than the fact that I found out what a badass Ronald Reagan was.
With the president working for him and us as an office over there. They do typically keep a small office on that west wing for the president should he want to do work there rather than the Oval Office. And many presidents have saved the Oval Office for, dignitaries and presentations and whatnot. President Reagan felt it was an honor and a privilege. He had worked hard to be president, so he always worked in the Oval Office and always in a suit on the weekdays. He did take homework home. The White House is three things. It's a residence, it's a museum, and it is the Oval Office. So it offices and whatnot. So it serves three different purposes.
This is the 5th time that we've been to the Reagan, and one of the things that just dawned on me that I always feel when I'm here is happy. And I know that I'm sure Ronald and Nancy weren't always happy. They went through a lot of issues while he was president, but he never showed that side to the public, nor did she. All they ever presented was strength and goodwill. And that is something that has been lacking for a long, long time in the presidency, in my opinion. This room is dedicated to Nancy Reagan, who I think is the most elegant and classy First Lady we've had in my lifetime. I was alive when Jackie Kennedy was the First Lady. She seemed to be pretty cool, but I don't remember her. But Nancy Reagan was a great First Lady. The only thing she really ever got involved in publicly was the fight against drug abuse. She didn't try to tell people how to raise their kids. She didn't tell us what we ought to eat. And she was a beautiful, classy woman. And I appreciated her as First Lady. All right, we've got Air Force One here. This is the 707 version. And gonna go in and check it out. It's awesome. And looking out across Simi Valley there. All right, let's go check out the plane. All right. Venturing inside Air Force One.
Like a tax or fax?
Communications Center.
Fax machine?
Hello. Galley. And this was Reagan's office with any president who used this plane, but in this case Ronald Reagan and his ever-present jar of Jelly Bellies.
No.
And they were Jelly Bellies.
Yes, first time.
This is the communication center. Big there.
Jump seats for attendance.
The Air Force technicians had some right here. In between them was the nuclear football.
Conference area. Bob Oak with the Reagans. This is where the guests and staff would have sat here security would have said here, Secret Service. And then this was where guests and press would have sat. Anybody else who wasn't a honcho or a VIP back here in the economy class. Another galley. Restrooms or lavatories if you prefer. All right. Okay, well, we are going to head on down. This is a cool shot. We're going to head on down to the Auschwitz exhibit and go check that out. In 1981, no problem the country faced was more serious than our nation's economic crisis. I wish that more of the American people would realize that that's our biggest problem right now, and not climate change or LGBTQ or Antifa or any of that stuff. We have to get our economy straightened out or none of that's going to matter. And that's exactly what the left want. They want none of it to matter. All right, well, we did the Auschwitz exhibit. It was very powerful. I'm not going to include that in this, the Berlin Wall. I'm sure that most of the people, almost everybody, according to my analytics, that watches this channel remembers clearly the fall of the Berlin Wall and Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. The bad guys of my youth and younger days. This little theater here shows these clips of things that were going on during the Cold War, and one of them that I don't remember Nikita Khrushchev ever being in power. I was too young, but I've heard his speech before that where he said, "We'll destroy you from within without ever firing a shot. We'll spoon feed you socialism until you're communist and you don't even know it." And that is exactly what the left are trying to do today. Don't forget that. This is one of the beams from the North Tower of the World Trade Center from the 9/11 attacks. Pretty cool. It's got the FDNY 343. That represents the 343 firefighters who lost their lives that day. This is a room that is dedicated to heroes of the United States. Medal of Honor recipients, Challenger astronauts, New York firefighters, and others. Pretty cool. As anyone who knew Reagan, he was very much into horses. And I guess those are some of his saddles. Got a tour group right behind me, so I'm trying to keep moving. Mementos from Camp David from his kept horses there. Riding with Mikhail Gorbachev. A model of the Reagan Library that we're in right now. Pretty cool. This is actually the handwritten letter that Ronald Reagan wrote for his speech to the American people upon being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 1994. Took his life in 2004. And as someone who's been very closely associated with a couple of people who suffered from and perished to Alzheimer's, I'm very sad. There were people, I remember, who were not Reagan fans, who made fun of this and thought it was fitting or something. If you're one of those people, please unsubscribe from my channel because you're an asshole. And that's just the way I feel about that. He was diagnosed in 1994 and he passed away in 2004. I remember I was on vacation in a hotel room in Cedar City, Utah, when I heard the news that he had passed away. And I was very saddened.
Always remember, always feel honored by the journey that we traveled together.
Lost a great president, a great man, and a great man. I have lost a dear friend. We have still
Years went by and he could no longer verbalize my name. He recognized me as the man who hugged him.
We have this example.
I don't know why Alzheimer's was allowed to steal so much of my time.
Not much else needs to be said about that. All right, well, let's go in here in the gift shop and see if I can't find something to spend some money on.
So do you like those Forged in Fire shows, you know, where they...
You can buy me another golf shirt. I wore my other one out.
And then they smell...
All right, this is the grave, are the graves of President Reagan and First Lady Nancy. Beautiful, beautiful place for them to spend eternity. Overlooking, just a beautiful view out here. Wish it would have been cloudy when we were inside doing the pictures of Air Force One, so you can see that a little bit better. By the time we were done with the Auschwitz thing, we had only about a half an hour till we had to vamoose. It's 5 o'clock now, just after 5, and museum's closing, and we are heading out. All right, well, that'll conclude our little trip to the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, visiting the regular Reagan Museum and the Auschwitz exhibit. And as I said, I'm not going to do the Auschwitz on this channel. I'll do that one on my other one. But if you've never been to the Reagan, I strongly recommend that you come here. Heck, even if you're a Democrat, it's still a pretty cool place. The only thing I will say about the Auschwitz thing is that if you can see something like that and not be moved, you're wired wrong. Keep shooting the ideas. Drop me comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.